All right, hello everybody, and welcome to episode number 22 of the PT Footy Podcast. With me here today, we got Kevin,
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Brian,
Hello, beautiful people.
and our special guest, FC Porto Global, aka Simon.
Hi guys, how are you?
All right, well, we're fine. We're happy to have you here. And before we talk about what really matters, I'm just going to quickly mention that Sporting won 3-0 this past weekend. Alex couldn't be here today, so that's why we're doing this. Also, just want to get two questions out of the way that were asked by hold on, by Sergio. He asked them to Alex, so I'm just gonna answer them right now, Sergio, just so you know, because Alex did tell me what he thought about your questions. First one is that you asked, what rating would you give Markovic's performance with Sporting so far this year, and would you end his loan? Sergio, he said 5 out of 10, and that he wouldn't end his loan because he'd just rather keep him around because he's a good player and could still have a good role for them. Your second question was, Alex, if you had the chance to change one thing in Sporting's lineup in January, what would it be? A second striker? He said sign Mike from Cruzeiro. That's a right back if you don't know, and he says that they're getting Teo back, so no need for a striker. And I've also heard those rumors that Teo might be coming back to Sporting. All right, now that that business is taken care of, on to the Clássico. Now, I'm going to start with the Benfica's point of view. Why not? Brian. So, Benfica obviously started with Ederson in goal. Nelson Semedo, Luizão, Lindelof, and Eliseu. Obviously, Luizão was there for like 16 minutes, so basically, Lisandro played the whole almost 90 minutes. Then Samaris and Pizzi, Salvio, Servi, Guedes, and Mitro. First question, disappointed with the way that we played?
Of course, super disappointed. I expected us to go in there kind of, I don't want to say guns a-blazing, but when you have a 5-point lead, we could kind of afford to slip up. So I thought we would have attacked a little more. But Rui Vitória proves again that when we play a team either at the same level as us, like Porto or Sporting, or higher, like Atletico Madrid, we're just going to sit back, defend, and hope to get a goal on a counter, which is a bit disappointing. So, but we did even worse than that this time around because we wasn't even getting a counter attack. So it was what I said to my father. I was just like, we are getting the ball, giving it back to Porto, and say, hey, why not try again until you score a goal, and it obviously finally came in the 50th minute. So very disappointed. At the same time, we were missing 5 starters, which quickly became 6 because of Luizão's injury. So, you know, to me, the two most important players that we were missing, Grimaldo and Feja, Grimaldo and Feja, those are two humongous players that make a humongous difference, especially Feja in the midfield. With Samaris there, we looked like we had no midfield. Porto dominated us in the midfield because of that. So, I mean, Feja not being there is a huge miss. Even if we had just Feja there, I think our play would have been a lot better because I don't think Porto would have been able to dominate as much as they did. Not to say they wouldn't have dominated, but it wouldn't have been as much as it was in the game.
Much as a big of a domination that it was. All right. Now, I'm gonna ask Simon what he thought about the game. Obviously, first off, I'm just give you the lineup. So, Iker Casillas was in goal. Then Maxi, Felipe Marcano, and Alex Telles are the back four. Danilo, Oliver, and Otávio in the midfield. Corona and Jota on the wings. Silva up front. And if you could add what you thought about Maxi coming in for Layun, and would you have kept that change?
Okay, I'll start, I guess, with the Maxi question. Earlier in the week, I tweeted out that I wanted to see Maxi in the 11. It's a lot more stable backline when he plays. They entered him in to face Bruges midweek to get his legs up to speed as Layun had been playing before. So it kind of was a tip-off that Maxi was going to be going again on Sunday. I think also for the factor of just the motivation of him playing his former team was a good choice to put him in. and it did pay off. Between him, Philippe, and Oliver, I'd probably select man of the match for Porto between one of those three. As for the match overall, I feel a great injustice. I think every Portista does. It was basically attack after attack. The midfield was wide open. Nuno recognized that, not only did the points gap have to be closed, they could not afford a loss, but Benfica had several injuries. It's unfortunate injuries it happens to every team, but the attacking starting 11 was a good choice. I think the main criticism will come in is with the substitutions, not only just the Herrera substitution because of his mistake, but even if he had not made that mistake, I think Brahimi would have been a better final substitute instead of sitting back for the last 5 minutes plus added time. It was still on our...
It was a little bit of a defensive. All of them were a little bit of defensive substitutions, weren't they? Herrera, Layun, and Ruben Neves, right?
Yeah, Neves was first on. Layun is, even though he plays in the back line, he's not necessarily a defensive substitution, and he was entered into midfield. We all know that Layun really is more like a forward than a defender. He doesn't put much quality into defending anyways. So I consider the Layun substitution actually to be an offensive one. The Herrera one, I think, should have been Brahimi to finish the match. Brahimi can hold the ball well, first of all. With Herrera on that mistake he made, he just kind of, the ball fell to his foot and blasted it away. We've seen Brahimi time and time again be able to hold the ball with a defender or two on his back. Who knows how the situation would have been different. I think Nuno lost the 2 points on the substitution. I really can't criticize anything about his 11 to start the match. It was nice in attacking. Porto was pretty fluid in attack all match. Obviously, nicking a second goal would have put it to bed, but they were not able to get that, either between any inexperience with the front attackers being so young, or Benfica, just kind of playing a bend and not break defense. I think they actually improved when Luizão went off. Not that I wish injury on everybody, or on players rather, but when he went off, I was actually hoping he would play the match through, because just his age and speed now, I knew that he would have difficulties keeping up with our wingers and attackers. So, as a matter of fact, that substitution ended up benefiting Benfica, because Lisandro has much better pace. But overall, as I started this conversation, I feel a massive injustice that 2 points was lost. It almost feels like a loss. In the end, it's still a 5-point gap after round 10, and we still have to go to round 34. So everything is open still. But if Porto had have lost that match outright and gone 8 points down after 10 rounds, then I think the season would have quickly spun out of control. But 5 points or 5 points and still needing to get to 34 rounds, I think everything is still open and still to play for.
Obviously, we still have the advantage having 5 more points than you guys, so you gotta try not to slip up, because it's gonna happen to everybody eventually. And Kevin, now my question goes. I have 2 questions. Why can't Porto finish off the match, and why did they put the foot off the gas so much after scoring the first goal?
Well, I don't think they took the foot off the gas that much after they scored. I mean, it took the wind out of the sails of Benfica. Well, there were no wind in the sails of Benfica. That was kind of like a blow to Benfica. And they probably thought that the 1-0 would have been sufficient enough with the way the game was going, which the final result was complete bullshit, and it's annoying, but, it is what it is. It's so frustrating because we couldn't finish our chances, and that's what it comes down to. We've seen it the last couple of weeks where they've missed a few chances to actually score a goal. There's, like, against Stubble, we had, I don't know how many chances to score, with Jota getting robbed by Varela, the Stubble goalkeeper, like point blank. It's just a lack of finishing. I'm not going to blame it on the actual attacking, because the attacking was actually pretty good. more so this game than the one at Stubble, because there were obviously two different teams, and Stubble was defending pretty much. So yeah, I mean it's lack of finishing. Andres Silva couldn't bag a goal. He came close on a volley, and it just went centimeters wide, and it's so frustrating because they were so close. Like at halftime, it should have been at least 4-0. So I guess they just got to keep practicing on their finishing. Is the only complaint I have.
Mm-hmm. Finishing, you guys didn't finish your chances, bottom line, and you created enough to at least score 2 goals. I guess the Andres Silva one was a little bit of a gift by Benfica's defense, but still, he could have buried it and should have buried it. Thought Ederson played quite well though at one point. So he is credited to you guys not scoring a lot. And what is funny is that your guys' goal come from a mistake from him. So it's a little bit weird how things go.
Well, it's not so much a mistake. I don't feel that way. I think that
every time
he was waiting for the cross from Jota, and Jota knew where to put the ball. So it was smart on Jota and not so smart on Edison. He was waiting for the cross, you could tell. He was already starting to head out, and the shot came in, and you couldn't get to it. It was already too late.
Yeah, I think every time near post, you have to put a little bit of a blame on the goalkeeper. So I put him, I put some of the blame on him. I guess it's not like a little bit of a, it's a little mistake, and he's done so much that
Goalkeepers at near post, goalkeepers should always have the near post covered. I understand he's waiting for the cross, similar to Gonzalo Guedes against Pax Ferreira. Some people said that the goalkeeper messed up big time, but you could say the same thing was that the goalkeeper thought he was going far post when really he went near post high. So same with Jota it was smart, it was a good shot, but I expect goalkeepers to save it, and nonetheless, Addison.
The posts are the goalkeeper's responsibility first and foremost. The crosses are more on the defender, but you could see how Ederson already changed his body weight, and Jota surprised him to put his foot through the ball on the near side. But nonetheless, the posts, the posts are generally for the keeper to have first priority. Then the defenders have to take care of crossing.
Yeah, being a former goalkeeper myself, that's the first thing you get taught. But I'm not discrediting Jota because he was a tremendous strike. Like, he hit it with a lot of power. So, it was hard to save anyway. But I think Ederson, he's got to take a little bit of the blame in there. Simon, I know this is sort of a Benfica question, but I'll throw it out at you. When you saw that Feza got injured, did you think that your chances of getting a good result skyrocketed after that? Or?
Yes, immediately. I figured that the midfield was going to open up, and even when I saw Grimaldo out, it was almost like Nuno had been gifted kind of a boost in points to catch up big time. Not that I ever wish injury, but the next time we play in the second round in Lisbon, Benfica will probably have a healthy squad then, and it's going to be much harder to get points out of that match. So it's definitely points squandered this time with not only playing at home but playing a weekend Benfica squad is a massive missed opportunity.
Brian, so I'm watching the game, right? And I'm thinking two things. Or I'm seeing two sides of the same coin, basically, with what Simon said a little bit earlier about Luizão, on how Lisandro coming on was good for us because he has more pace. At the same time, as the game went on, I think that we wasted a substitution on that. You know what I mean? Like, we burnt one without any need, because I think that Benfica probably would have made the change of bringing in Horta way sooner if they still had 3 substitutions to go. Now, how do you feel about that?
Well, although I agree with Simon that obviously Lisandro is faster, I think with Luizão on the pitch, we hadn't conceded in 5 games or something like that, albeit none were against like a quality side like Porto, of course. But, that's a good record to have. I'm not a huge fan of Lisandro. He ended up playing very well. Obviously, he got the goal. But there was also a couple great tackles that he made that Porto could have been in if not for some of those tackles. But yeah, I mean, it is a wasted substitution when you make a sub in the 20th minute, because I think had that not happened, Horta maybe could have came in right away in the second half during halftime, because obviously anyone could see playing like that, Benfica was going to lose. And let's be honest, Benfica deserved to lose because we didn't go there to play. We played for a draw. Albeit Rui Vitória probably played to what he had, because we were missing 5 key players, especially Fez and Grimaldo. But yeah, I mean, it was disappointing. But I mean, a draw like that feels like a win. And had someone told me before the game that the game would finish 1-1, I would have gladly taken that result. And obviously, the way it happened, it felt much better than how it. It was a good way to draw. It disappointed Porto fans and it made us happy. So I'm happy with a draw, especially because of our injuries.
See, what I failed to refuse to say that we played for a draw, because, and here I go to Kevin, I thought that Nuno made a great job putting Otávio right next to Pizzi, which basically rendered Pizzi's offense useless. Hold up. Kevin, we can't hear you that well.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, credit to Nuno for throwing that starting 11 together. It was a good lineup and a good formation. So, I think that Benfica went there to go play for the draw. They were time wasting so bad, and nothing was being done about it. And I'm not going to really get into depth with that because it didn't really matter much. But with the time wasting, it was clear that Benfica wanted the draw. They didn't care had they won. They just wanted the draw. And if they could get the win, they would have got it. But it looked like they were just going to sit back and absorb all the pressure. And I credit Porto for coming after them. We attacked very well with the first 60 minutes. Hard work paid off with the goal from Jota. Like I said, it could have been more. In my opinion, I believe that Jota was the man of the match. I do believe that Philippe also played very well. I was just going back to Simon's point before. So yeah, it was a great lineup. I mean, he should be consistent with it and keep this lineup. I don't think Layun is the right guy for the right back position. Obviously, Moxie defends well for us, and like Simon said, our back line is more solid with Moxie playing. So, I was expecting Moxie to be the right back, and I was hoping he would be. And I just have to make one quick point about the Herrera substitution. I think that people are being very cruel to Herrera. I don't think that's fair to him. I will have to say that he didn't mean to concede that corner. If you watch the play again, he's trying to, get the ball off Eliseu. He's trying to kick the ball off Eliseu, and Eliseu just moved out of the way. So he was able to, move out of the way, get the corner. I will blame Herrera on the corner, though. He didn't mark down Horta. He let him cross it in pretty much. And it's not just his fault. The defenders were ball watching also. And, that hurt because had the defenders gone for it, they could have took a deflection and went out, so.
So quickly to add to your point, I also don't think it's Herrera's fault, as I can see what he was trying to do. I refuse to put the blame on the guy because it's a corner. It could have went to nothing. You gotta credit or discredit the defense for that goal because the defense was useless with Felipe, Marcano, and Danilo. Neither of them got to the ball.
It was a defending as a whole.
Yeah, the defending was horrible. That's how we managed to score. So, I mean, you can't put the blame on Herrera, to be honest, at least in my opinion.
And it's not fair either, just real quick. People forget that last season, he got a huge goal against Benfica. We won the game. Obviously, it didn't mean anything to us because we didn't win anything. But, he scored a great goal. It was a fantastic goal, right at the edge of the box. So, people
it was him that got you that first goal that led you to the win, and he got the assist, I think, I think he got the assist for the Abubakar goal as well. So,
yeah, probably.
I was gonna say that with Porto, I mean, obviously Porto fans are disappointed with the way that we tied the game, But I think they have to be disappointed in the coach as well because he could have made better subs. I felt like he kind of let Benfica get back into the game.
Yep.
Credit to Benfica as well with Horta, who played very well since coming on. But yeah, I felt like if you had him playing against a team that's missing at least 2 super quality players in Feja and Grimaldo, you should probably put in Brahimi, like I believe Simon said earlier.
We're echoing right now.
Hold on. Sorry, can you hear me?
No, we're still echoing. I think it's Kevin.
Hello?
I think it's Kevin. Hold on. Okay, he muted his mics. Just go on with your point.
Sorry. Like I believe Simon said earlier, Brahimi could have come on. I think he would have been a lot more dangerous for Porto. And it's an attacking substitution, which could have killed the game off. So it's a disappointing draw for Porto. It's a wonderful draw for Benfica because of everything, because of our injuries and things like that. And it's away from home. So technically on the head-to-head, we're looking better, depending if that's how the season ends, of course. So, yeah. Any time wasting, I mean, when we kicked the ball away, it was like 2 feet away. It's not as if we was kicking it to the other side of the field.
No, yeah.
Even at one point, which the referee did bad, it's not a huge decision, but somebody's kicks it about 4 feet away to the other side, and the referee lets Porto play on from that side, which is probably saying to Benfica, you shouldn't have did that. That's why I allowed that to happen, but it shouldn't have. But yeah, I don't think it was that much time wasting. Ederson got a yellow very quickly, so the referee did that great.
Yeah, I thought that was quite interesting and good. He got his yellow like 15 minutes in, so people can't even complain all that much.
Right. So the ref did good in that situation as well.
I thought it was almost spot on. Obviously, there's things he's gonna miss. Like I saw some people saying that Philippe shouldn't have that his handball shouldn't have been disallowed and all that. But again, you're watching a lot of replays and and the same thing with Otavio and the spit. I'm obviously going to get to that, even though what he just said, but I'm still going to get to that. And I mean, it's hard for the referee to catch that, but obviously, with the images, you can clear all that up. Kevin, you want to say anything else before I ask another question, or?
Can you guys hear me good now?
Yeah, we can.
All right, good. Sorry about that. It was my headphones.
It's all right.
Hold on,
you were talking about Herrera. So,
I
if
mean,
there's anything you wanted to add?
And I've never actually been a fan of Herrera. He's had his good moments with us. So I just don't think he was always the player that we needed. I hate to say it, but he's got to be sold. January. We got to sell him. I don't know if we had any offers come in from Napoli. I don't know if that was true in the off season, but we got to take some money from his sale.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say you got to take what you get, basically, with some of those players. And I think when the player is in Porto caliber, just get rid of him. I mean, I don't you're gonna do that with Marega, so I mean, I don't really get why you shouldn't do that with other players. If he's not Porto caliber, just sell him. Bank in on it.
Yeah.
Well, Marega's a different story.
Porto have to start selling anyway, though. So why not start with a guy like Herrera? Because Porto is
they're definitely gonna sell Marega, dude. Because he's on hot form and he probably won't produce the same thing in Porto. Because
what if he's a hidden gem? He could be a hidden gem, though.
No, he won't be. Sorry to cut in, but
yeah, go on. I was gonna.
He won't be because Marega's a physical player and. Basically, Porto will always be attacking, and they're always going to have to play against parked bus defenses. So, we all know that he doesn't have a great touch. He's basically just been playing counter-attacking football at Guimarães, and that's why he's been able to get so many goals. At Porto, there's a reason he didn't do well. It's because he's going to be surrounded by many defenders all match, and he doesn't have the touch. He'll never succeed here, and his stock will basically never been higher. Unfortunately, he just picked up a nice 3-match ban for himself. But if any bid comes for him in January, that's basically immediately accepted.
Selling him. Yeah.
They must be begging for China to call. Like any Chinese team calls, they must be on their knees begging for it. So any chance they get, he's gone.
Yeah, because I was talking about that because my dad says that he's a good player and he still thinks he's going to succeed at Porto, and I said he's not going to.
No,
never.
Guimarães
has a lot of chances during their match as well. When you're watching Guimarães game playing against whoever it is, it's a lot of attacking football, back and forth, lots of chances. So Marega can miss 20 chances and score 1 goal out of those 20 misses. That's not going to happen with Porto. If a team like Porto gets 20 chances, that's already a lot, because this team parked the bus against us, so it's always difficult for them to create chances. So go ahead.
What if I was going to say, but if we look at a player like Cardoso, who played for Benfica, very immobile, but we always had a striker linked up with him who was very mobile. For instance, Saviola or Lima did well with him, and several other strikers. Why can't Rodrigo, of course, why can't Porto do something like that with Marega and try to...
Marega doesn't have the touch, dude. Marega just
no, but he has Cardoso. Cardoso has the touch of
No, Cardoso's good.
He doesn't
dude.
have the touch, and we don't play with 2 strikers. Anyways,
well, I was going to say the only problem with Porto...
We tried a little bit with Deporto. Right. We tried a little bit with Adrian Lopez, and that got kiboshed after like 2 matches. So it just doesn't fit our style, and we're not going to cater. We're not going to change our whole formation and starting 11 just to cater to Marega. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. I also told
his stock is highest now. He's going to be sold basically.
Exactly. I told that to my dad as well. Like, you have to play 2 Marega, and you're not going to do that with Porto. So I think Marega is gonna go. Sorry, Kevin, you're on the
Just saying, you never know. He never got a real fair shot.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna be difficult for him to succeed. All right, I almost lost what I was thinking about, but I remember now. And it's 2 questions, and they're both exactly about Benfica, but I'm gonna direct it one to Simon and one to Brian. It's the same question basically, but I'm gonna let Simon go first. And Simon, you've been around for a while. You've watched a lot of classics. And there's something I gotta ask you. Why does Porto play every time they play Benfica? It's different. Like, Porto could be in last place and it still wouldn't be a shoe-in that Benfica would win. Now, why does that happen with Porto? And why does that not happen with Benfica?
It's just a Classico. I find it's like the differences between Champions League and League of Form. It doesn't really matter. It's just a different mentality match. Your form from the week before doesn't matter for either team, I feel. Or you always show different. Some teams they overachieve in Champions League, or they really tank in Champions League. It's just a Classico. You always get up for. It's a different mentality match. I think really just their failure was. Sorry to cut you off there. It's just another year of new faces, and they're really young. Andre Silva only just turned 21. Jota's 19. Oliver's 19 or 20. Otavio 19 or 20. I don't have it memorized right now, but there's so many young faces, and this was their first Classico together. Like Louis Zhao alone has played probably 100, and these youngsters put together have played a comment of Sporting. They played Sporting, but now they've played less than 10 all put together. So it's so many kids and new faces that there's going to be growing pains for them, and I think in the end, I think their failure just came down to they're so young and inexperienced. They almost need to learn once or twice before they get it right.
Yeah, but why does Porto always have a mental edge over Benfica? That was basically like my whole question, is why every single year? I mean, obviously, there's going to be exceptions every now and then, like the Lima when Benfica won with Lima, and when we won with Nuno Gomes, and one with Fábio Coentrão and Javi Garcia. But 99% of the times, why does Porto manages to have that mental edge over Benfica?
That's difficult to answer. I don't even know if I have the right answer, because I could ask the same question back to you and say, why can't we win at Sporting? It's just the way we match up. We couldn't beat Slimani. We couldn't stop Slimani. But Benfica, we seem to always turn up better against them. I don't know. It's difficult. I would have to put more thought into it. Maybe I'll have a better answer next time. But it's just a matchup. We show up better against Benfica, but we can't win at Sporting. I think since 2008 or 2007, we haven't won in their stadium. It might just be a mentality.
Mm-hmm. That's what that's what I think. Because it confuses me being from the north and seeing everything happen. I just think it's completely different cultures, like from the south to the north, and the way that they approach the matchup is completely different. As Porto sees this almost as a battle, Benfica sees this as just another game, which I don't think it's correct. That's it's a classic show. You should always look to win it. So Brian, why do you think that Porto always have a mental edge over Benfica? And goddamn it, do not say the title wins, because it has nothing to do with that.
No, even before that. Well, I was going to say, I think Benfica look at it as a battle as well. I mean, because Porto are our biggest rivals, especially in these last 30 years.
But sorry to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
If they do see it, they don't show it on
and
the pitch.
I think because we are afraid of playing at Dragon. I think that's where our problem comes from. I don't think it's that Porto show up much better. I think it's that Benfica, for some reason, we're afraid of playing at Dragon, and it shows because we only win there once every 10 years in the league, and it's only 2-0 every time. Interesting enough. But yeah, I think it's a mental problem for us, which is weird because you get new players every season, so they shouldn't really know those things. You would think they'll just be fresh and new, but I don't know what it is. It's just one of those things, right? Like how Porto had beat Setúbal 19 years in a row. Why couldn't Setúbal ever stop them? Obviously, this year they did, but it's sometimes those things just happen. Or like Simon said, like why couldn't Porto beat Sporting at the Alvalade, even though Sporting a couple years ago were absolute garbage. So it's sometimes teams just have that weird edge, I think it's just football.
Kevin, you want to weigh in on this?
Not really. I mean, I think that Brian and Simon touched up on it. I guess it's just the mentality and the moment of the match and how you choose to play. If you're going to be at your best, it's different between playing against Benfica and playing against a team like Setúbal. Against Setúbal, you tend to be a little bit more relaxed, but you're trying to go for the win. And a Clássico like Benfica, you're going to give it your all. And especially with the scouts in the house, keeping an eye on certain players, you're going to always be at your best. So, I don't know why Benfica have been having a hard time. Maybe it's just because we're better than them. But then if you're going to say that, you're going to have to say Sporting's better than Porto, which is ridiculous to even say. But, going back to the game earlier this season in the Alvalade, we all know why the result ended up the way it was. So,
I don't think I don't want to go back to it, but I felt
no, I'm not going back
really
to it. I'm just making a comparison.
20 minutes, and then they dropped off a little bit. But at least you got something going, right? Nuno always seems to set up the teams well, at least for like the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, for this game, it was the first 60 minutes. And, I think that, it just came out today. Nuno has been not necessarily the worst coach, but statistically the worst start. I don't really go by that because I think that Nuno has done a good job so far. Against Setúbal, it was just a letdown. We deserved to win that game. And against Benfica, everybody knows that Porto should have won that game.
Those results are a little bit skewed, though, because we've already played 2 Clássicos within 10 rounds. Other coaches might not have even played 1 Clássico before the first round. So, again, it's a young squad, and having to play Sporting and Benfica already, both of them within the first 10 rounds of the league, it could be difficult for young players that we have. I think they just need to get their feet wet in the water, which they have now, and I expect better consistency in the second half of the league when they've learned some more.
All right, and I'm going to ask you guys about Nuno, because, again, I was talking to a friend, and he said that Nuno sort of has a, let's lock this down, let's defend this lead, we got this. Because he said it happened against Copenhagen, and I can't assure for that because I didn't watch that game. But when you guys played at the Dragão, he said that they got the goal, and then it was, just time management, not really going for a second goal. And we saw the exact same thing here. And I guess you could also make a case that it sort of happened at the Alvalade as well.
It happened against Bruges at home. They ended up trying to lock up shop within the last 20 minutes or so.
There you go. And, so this is going to be sort of a two-party question, because why does Nuno do that? Or why do you guys think that he does that? And why would you do that against Benfica when, despite all the injuries, it's still Benfica? And with 30 minutes to go, 35, it's still a lot of game time. It could have completely, changed up the whole game. Would have Benfica, for example, gotten a goal like in the 70th minute, and Porto have to switch back to attacking mentality. It could have just worked, could not worked well for them. Why do you guys think that he, likes to defend the lead? So, yeah, basically that. Yeah, either one of you can take it.
Okay, I'll go ahead first. It started with Lopetegui. I don't know why. Actually, it's not Nuno. It's not his invention, although he's following the trend that Lopetegui did it as well. It's no one really has played true attacking Porto football since Villas-Boas. If you think about it, when Lopetegui came in his style of just basically horizontal passing, it started there, and we haven't gotten rid of it from our system yet. I think maybe Nuno is just so afraid of losing that lead because he's come in and we're on to our fourth year right now. So we've already completed 3 years without a trophy. I think Nuno's so afraid of that he lost that lead that it would start a spiral into another trophyless year. I really, it's difficult to get his mindset because just the journalists don't ask him this questions. I don't know why. It's the same softball questions every goddamn press conference, and you can't really get any answers out of these coaches. So there's talent on the bench. It should have been Brahimi as the final sub. They should have went to kill the game, and this started with Lopetegui, and we still haven't gotten rid of this attitude. And we did it against Bruges. I don't know why. And you can't blame tired legs that much because our squad is so deep. We had all 26 players fit training during the week ahead of the Classico. Okay, we played on Wednesday and Benfica played on Tuesday. So, yeah, okay, Benfica had one extra day of rest, but they had 4 key injuries as well when we had no injuries. Mm-hmm. So it bothers me very much. He showed great intention with the starting 11 and dropping Herrera right out of it, which many fans have called for prior to the match. So it was an exciting starting 11. But the subs, mainly the last sub, really let down the match. I think we could have killed even if Benfica scored a 70th minute goal, 75th minute goal, we still could have turned it back on to go and keep on attacking. Sitting back, especially in our own stadium, it's not our style, and it burned us, and it's probably going to burn us more if we continue doing it. But I don't know where this mentality started, and I mean, there's some people already claiming that Nuno's not fit for the job, and so I think he is. And even if he's not, we can't afford to can him because we have so much debt. It's not even funny. We're still paying Lopetegui. We're still paying Peseiro. So what are we going to do? Can a third coach? First of all, who would we hire? There's really no decent candidates. Second of all, we can't afford really to pay out another coach, and because we have to sell so many players to begin with. But the mentality has to be there that it's almost a confidence thing that we're good enough to kill these games and to keep attacking and to find the second and third goal. I hope to see it soon.
Mm-hmm. And before Kevin, you take the spotlight. If you guys do decide to sack Nuno, you can forget about it. You can forget about winning a title that year, because you guys screwed up royally when you sacked Lopetegui, because he was still like second.
Yeah,
and then you signed Peseiro, and then it was just downhill from then.
Yeah, I think there's no discussion about that. That's out of the question. You can't sack Nuno. Not only is it incredibly disruptive to the squad, they are still only 5 points behind, and Benfica still has to play Sporting before the rounds switch again after round 17. Yeah. I think it is. So obviously, as a Porto fan myself, I'll be hoping that Sporting wins that match. But the league is still open, and canning Nuno's out of the, like, you can't just keep canning coaches like this, because other coaches will see it and they're not going to want to apply to the job because they go, oh, okay, if I go 1 or 2 games down, then I'm done. So
Yeah.
it's bad. It shows bad to keep canning these coaches, and we just can't afford it. We can't we already paid out Lopetegui, we paid out Peseiro. We have to sell so many players. We can't afford it. We're stuck with them. So we just
Yeah. And there's a learning curve, which I think that Porto don't really understand. That is that there's a learning curve, you know, and they should have at least ran out Lopetegui's year, and then they could have sacked him at the end. But I think with Nuno, even if he doesn't win, they need to take a step back and think, okay, this is our 4th year without a trophy, because let's say they don't win, right? But we do have a coach. He's going to be on his 2nd year. He's good. We got good players. What can we do? You know, just don't sack again. They got to understand there's a learning curve to all that.
Yeah, and we know Nuno is a true Portista. He's there with the club's best intentions in mind. You know, a coach like Lopetegui, you almost felt like he was almost there, like you knew he was just going to be there for a short time, so he would just burn quick bridges for like quick short-term benefits, like getting players like Oliver and Casemiro. You knew it was only like a one-time, instead of in the end, Oliver is obviously back, but Casemiro, there's no way that Madrid was going to let us keep him. So it was almost Lopetegui was using very short-term solutions for short-term games. I think with Nuno, he has a better thought in his mind about the club overall, because he's come through the club twice and he's won lots of trophies at the club. So he knows what it takes. And there is a learning curve, and especially for the players, we have so many under 21 players that they're not going to know how to win Classicos right away. It takes leadership as well, which Nuno can give because he's won Classicos and he's won trophies. So you have to put them together for a while. And after 10 rounds and playing Benfica and Sporting twice already and being behind 5 points, it's not the worst. It could be better, but it's not detrimental at the moment. And yeah, sacking him is absolutely out of the question, in my opinion.
Key here is taking it all the way to the end, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you got to give the guy a chance. And I think that we got to take the example of Benfica, what they did with Jorge Jesus in the beginning when they first got him. They didn't really win anything, and they stuck with him. And
we sort of won the league, sorry.
In the beginning, his first year?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that he didn't win anything in the beginning. All right, but still, like, these guys went...
The 2nd and 3rd year were quite bad, so...
Okay, so you had 3 years in a row where Porto were campeões with Jorge Jesus at the helm. So, you know, they stuck with him. They didn't give up on him. And, you know, they ended up winning that first year of part of the 3 with JJ. So another good example is with Rivitoria. The way that the preseason went, they went down like 7 or 8 points, making an incredible comeback. I think that we can all agree that it was a miraculous recovery by Benfica to come back and win, even after they lost both games to Porto. You figured that would be huge, and it really didn't influence anything. So, you know, I think that we have to stick with Nuno. It's all about timing, too. I believe that with Lopetegui, we were behind, I think it was 5 points.
2 points, like 2 points.
So, that right there, that's a mistake. It's all about timing. You know, if they had slipped up, you know, and it kept falling further behind, I think anything more than 5 points at that point, I would say, you know, whatever, sack him with a 7-point deficit, I would say.
Okay. Kevin, you're getting way too low. Sorry.
Again? All right.
Yeah.
Go to Simon. I have to change my mic again.
Okay, no, it was fine now.
I was gonna bring up, I think, like Peter said, it's a learning curve for Porto. Because Porto has been so successful, they're not really used to not winning. So going 2 years without a trophy is almost abysmal for them. So they have to think, well, they get in panic mode and they say, well, we have to fire this guy, get another guy, because for the past 30 years before we won this 3, it was almost always Porto. And I think Benfica and Sporting have a little advantage because we've been through that, where we've been 4 years without a title and 3 years without a trophy. And, you know, we learned with JJ losing everything in 2013. But Luis Felipe Vieira kept him on for one more season, and we ended up winning everything domestically that year. And like Kevin said, Rui
2
Vitoria last
seasons.
year.
Kept him with 2 seasons. Sorry.
No, I know, but I'm saying the year after we won
Oh,
everything
okay.
domestically
Yeah,
with him.
and then we.
And with
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
no, I'm just bringing it up right away, right
No,
after.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah. And I was saying that then we won
And
the title as well. So
yeah, Rui Vitoria is the same thing. He was behind by a lot, like Kevin brought up. And that's something Porto are gonna learn, I'm sure, and they have to, because you can't just keep firing coaches whenever things go wrong.
okay.
know?
Nelson just tweeted something weird. He said keep Nuno and stick with the head on the starting 11.
That's what he wants.
I'm not really sure why he said that, but okay. Kevin, before I let you finish, I was also talking to that same friend about last year, and he did say, and he's a Portista, and he did say that Benfica's 8-point recovery is basically a one-off. Like the possibility of Porto or Sporting being down by 8, 7, 9 points, and then getting to first place is almost impossible. He said, like when I was watching the games that year, that it felt like a one-off. Like both teams slipped up so massively, and Benfica didn't. Because we got to think that Benfica went on a 14 winning game streak. They only lost to Porto, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Porto doing the exact same thing. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's very difficult for Porto to do that, and for Benfica to slip up several times as well. But yeah, you can proceed with your opinion.
Yeah, like I was saying, I don't know if you guys caught it. With the 7-point deficit with Lopetegui, I would say, you could sack him, because that's a pretty big deficit. I think that we have to learn, as Porto fans, we got to be more patient. I know we're used to winning. We're not used to this. I'm not used to this. When Sporting won the 2 out of 3, the turn of the millennium, and Boavista won that one. I don't really remember it that much. I was, Jesus Christ, I was like 15, I think. Yeah, something like that. I was like 15. So it was different for me then. But now, like, seeing this, like, Porto, to us, they're on a decline, and everybody can say that they're on a decline because they are. I think that this season has been better than the last 2. I think that I really liked Paulo Fonseca. I really liked him. I know that he made some really. I know he got burned, but like for some reason, I've always liked him as a coach, and I think that he made some bad decisions. He would have learned from it. I think that if we stuck with him, things could have been different. But I think that we need to be patient with Nuno. We need to be patient with our team. We're obviously rebuilding. There's no question about it. Mm-hmm. It might take a while. It might take another 2-3 years before we can even win the league. You don't really know that.
Yeah, exactly.
So we just have to be patient. Our time will come. Hopefully Benfica doesn't win a Tatra or match us with the Penta. So, I just think that we have to be patient. We're never going to give up on a team. We're always going to be true Portistas. But when things go bad, we can't blame the way we're blaming. Like, we want to, ask everybody when something goes wrong. Like, Herrera's mistake, get rid of him. We can't have that attitude. we want players to be like, you made a mistake and the team supports you no matter what. Because I don't remember any other mistake that Herrera's made, honestly. Like, there's been games where he's been shit, but he hasn't really, conceded a corner.
Games.
Exactly, a lack of defending. So I think that, we need to, relax a little bit and just take it easy. It was a mistake. We're all human. It happens. He conceded the corner. He didn't mark down Horta. But then again, the defenders didn't do their jobs either. So don't just blame Herrera for the mistake.
Simon, I thought you wanted to say something, but before you do, let me try and put this in the most neutral way I could. It might take you 5 years to win a title, and you guys need to understand that, need to keep that in your mind, need to know that you can't spend 50, 60 million per year just to try and win the goddamn title, like you did bringing in Casillas or Maxi, which on hindsight, I don't think that they were the best options and they cost you a lot of money. I think everybody just needs to take a step back, sell all the trash that you have, just like Benfica started to do when Rui Vitória came in. A lot of trash players just went. You got to do the same thing. Sell those players that you don't use. Bring up the academy players, for God's sakes. You were second division champions. You need to have more than one player in the team like that. Okay? It's not just Andre Silva. You need more players, and you just need to stick with the coach, sell crap players, and invest in the future. That's it. That's it. That's what I wanted to say.
Well, I don't
But
know if
that's-
Simon wanted to say
Yeah, I
something.
thought he wanted
did.
to say something.
Oh.
Mike was. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. I've had several thoughts. I almost can't remember everything I wanted to add. I think backtracking a little bit, mainly, well, with last year, if you look at teams that win the championship, there's generally one thing in common with them all, and it's they have basically a top goal scorer. And that was Jonas last year for Benfica, and there wasn't Abubakar for Porto. And it's just synonymous with winning the league is having a massive goal scorer, somebody who can nick a goal really any time in the match. And that's a key to winning our league, just because of the dynamic of the league, how it's so much bus parking. Really, besides playing the top 5 teams, you're going to be playing against a bus for basically 23 games out of the 34 in the league. So you need a top goal scorer, and that wasn't Abubakar for us last year. Fast forwarding to what you guys have been speaking right now. We used to be way worse with using our academy. It's actually started to improve a lot. Obviously, sales have to be made, but I think everyone is fed up with Herrera. I think he's going to be the next Maicon and Lopetegui. They're going to chase him out of town. It's been more than this one mistake here. We all remember that time he had the double yellow card against Zenit St. Petersburg in 6 minutes. Oh my God! But he's done so many boneheaded things, and even last season, I know he had a tiring summer because I think he had a summer tournament with Mexico, but it took him so long to get into form last year, and it's happening again this year. But it's not the fact that we should be giving the players a chance. I can't wrap my head around it mentally because he's our captain, and me thinking back to the captains that I've seen Porto have on the pitch, it just I can't stand it. Lucho Gonzalez, Deco, Jorge Costa, these guys are legendary players. They're immense players, and to have our captain nowadays as Hector Herrera, it's an insult to my club, and I can't stand to watch him anymore, and I want him gone, and I want him gone in January, because that's when the sales are going to start, and he has to be the first out the door, because there's more responsibility on his shoulders, and he just fails so many times after another, and I can't bear to watch it anymore. And to what our captains used to be for our club, and now our captain is Hector Herrera, it has to be the most laughable thing that I've seen, and I can't watch it anymore.
I was going to say that the only reason, I didn't want to interrupt Kevin before when he was saying that Herrera, made a lot of mistakes. Didn't make a lot of mistakes, and that Porto fans shouldn't want to get rid of him because of that. It comes from a lot of games, and that's when I understand. Okay, he can go because they gave him a lot of time, and I think it's his time to run, for Porto to get rid of him. And Simon, I don't think it's just Herrera. I think it's absolutely ridiculous when Marcano's captain. I mean, hell, let me look at this Porto lineup. Who can be captain? Danilo. I think he's worthy of being captain.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. There's no other, Casillas, you can't put as a captain. Maxi, you certainly can't put as a captain. Coming from Benfica, I don't really think you should do that.
No, it should be Danilo. I agree with you.
Yeah, and then you have Felipe Marcano, Teles, Oliver, Otávio, Corona, Silva, Jota. I mean, Danilo.
Next year, assuming, Neves came into the match and the armband went from Herrera to Marcano, and Neves comes on and doesn't get the armband. Now, next year, assuming Andre Silva stays, and I don't think they'll keep Danilo and Andre Silva considering how many sales have to be made. So I think Danilo's gone in the summer. The armband can definitely shift to Andre Silva next season or Neves if he's not sold. The thing is, I can't tell now who's going to be sold or who's not. We're in so much
so
debt.
many.
I can't. That's going to be another problem next year. Is our players need to play together for a couple seasons to really improve. And now it's like again next year. I already know it's going to be a new faces on the team. So
yeah, I think you should take your chances this year and try and do your best to win. Because next year I think you should just get it around your heads that it's going to be a rebuild year again.
Yeah, because Danilo is going to be gone. I think all three of the Mexican players will be gone. Like Leun is for sure gone because we have Victor Garcia at Nacional and Ricardo Pereira at Nice. They'll both be returning. So, and I mean, we still have Maxi as well. So we have three quality right backs. So Leun at that point is just redundant. We don't need him. He's gone. Herrera's gone, hopefully even in January. Corona is a candidate to be sold. Brahimi's going to be
good.
Yes. But yeah, Corona has market value and we need the money, so he's gone. Brahimi's going to be gone for sure. Who else? Even if a big bid comes for Andre Silva, he'll be gone. If Renat Sench can be sold after 4 months, Andre Silva can be sold after 1 year, absolutely. So if the money's there, he'll be gone. So it's it's going to be again whole new faces. But the bright side is the academy is excellent. There's many good faces in the academy to be used.
I don't want him getting burned though. Like I want Porto fans to understand that they're not going to be great straight out of the bat. Like the Andre Silvas and the Renato Sanches are almost impossible to find. So they can't expect like someone from like Francisco Ramos to come in and control the midfield. It's probably not going to happen. Yeah. So you guys need to keep that in mind. Sorry to cut you off there.
Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, and our squad entirely there's way too many players that shouldn't. It's time to trim the fat. Varela, Sergio Oliveira. These names are. I would have never seen these players back on our glory, our recent glory years of basically 2006, 2007, all the way through 2011. So many of these players would not have made those teams, and they just don't have the quality. And Hector Herrera to be our captain after seeing players like Jorge Costa, Deco, Lucho, it breaks my heart. It's a laughing stock. I can't. That's why I want Herrera gone. Is I'm just matching him as a captain against the captain.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it does not add up. It makes no sense. But
yeah.
No, there's issues there, but there's bright spots there as well. They've struck gold with Andre Silva, it seems, and there's a lot of young players
and Jota.
And Jota, absolutely. They have to come up with the money for at least Oliver or Jota. There's two fantastic players, but Oliver's money's not due for a year and a half. It's not due till next December.
Okay, that was exactly my next point. And just before I go on and say that I want to say that we didn't touch upon Benfica all that much because Benfica is, they're stable, they're doing well, they're doing their thing. So we're focusing more on Porto now. And I wanted to say is that the issue here is that you got a mandatory buy clause for Oliver Torres. Now, how do you deal with that? Having to sell on so many players to reduce the debt, and then you're going to have to spend 20+ million on Oliver Torres. Simon.
Oh, sorry about that. I turned my mic off by accident. Okay. Basically, there's a few options that I've thought of. Is one, they really have to pass the group stage this year and next year. They need that money from Champions League. So they need to, one, pass the group stage this year and pass the group stage next year. They need that money. Or this is a much more risky option, is to take a cash advance on the new Mayo TV deal. Is it worth it for Oliver Torres and Jota? Either or both of them, I would say yes, because they're such high quality young players that their value is only going to keep going up. I think that those are the only two ways that we're going to be able to afford them, is besides having the fire sale this summer, which is coming, is we need to pass the group stage of Champions League in both this season and next season, getting that money. And if that fails, then it really is just a cash advance on the Mayo TV deal, and then you get less money in the future from it.
Yeah, probably. And what people forget is that when you're selling, let's say that you make a total sale value of 200 million. If you get like 50 million out of that, it's great because you know that 99% of the money that you make is going to go to reduce debt. And Porto have been in a lot of issues. And I thought that they were into the fair play issue with UEFA at one
They
point.
are, but generally UEFA is pretty lackadaisical on it unless you violate it for like 2 or 3 seasons in a row. And we've only been violating it for about two or 3 months in a row now. So I don't think UEFA is gonna. They might just send a warning, but I don't think they'll take action unless we violate it for several seasons. That's what I've mainly seen in my experience with UEFA. Is they don't generally come down hard unless you've been violating for 2 or 3 years in a row. So the financial fair play, that's mainly on the back burner on my mind. I would say
I can't really say anything because I didn't see anything about it. My dad did tell me that he saw somewhere that Porto wrote a letter to UEFA to not get fined. But I mean, I didn't see the news. I don't know where it came from, so I can't 100% assure you of that. If that is even true,
I'm not sure. I mean, they may have because we're notorious. Obviously, Portuguese league is notorious for having such big player sales, so they probably just told UEFA that basically when the next transfer window opens, it's going to be a fire sale and the money's going to be there. So they may have just given UEFA a heads up. Whether UEFA accepts that or not, I don't know, or whether that's even true or not, that they sent that kind of letter. But the fact of the matter is, our financial officer last week already said at the General Assembly that sales will start in January, and basically once summer comes, it's going to be 5, 6, 7 major players gone. I think.
Before I move on to Twitter questions, is there anything else that you would like to add to what we've been saying?
No, I think I've spoken enough. I've probably extended this way too long. So if we can I'm probably boring everybody.
Nah, that's all right.
Can I bring up something really quickly for Simon? Yeah. Just a quick
Go thing. Right ahead.
Simon, what do you think about the whole Houghton situation? I think he was like a Louison. What Louison is to Benfica is what Houghton is for Porto. Do you think that was a huge mistake how Porto treated him?
No, and I think
it is.
I think it was spun actually in a bad taste. Houghton, first of all, Nuno came in, and I find it very, very hard to believe that Nuno, a former goalkeeper and a former colleague and friend of Houghton, kept Houghton in the dark. Houghton, as I tweeted like 10 or 15 things about this back in time, that there's fault on both sides. First of all, yes, there's fault on both sides. I think Houghton should have had the presence of mind and the self-awareness to recognize that it was his time to retire, and he didn't. I think he should have known that it was his time to gracefully step aside, and that forced the club into an awkward position to have to cut a legend. Now, we did it in a bit of a poor taste, and maybe the communication was not the best. Again, we don't know the full details because we're just fans on the outside. But I find it very hard to believe that Nuno wouldn't make it one of his top priorities to sort out his goalkeeping situation, just because not only is he a personal friend, but he was a goalkeeper himself. So I think Nuno probably communicated what's going on. Now, it bothered me when Houghton a couple of weeks ago said that he's only been finding out about everything through the media. And that upset me at first, and I believed it. But then Porto, a couple of days later, came out with a contract.
We're gonna say no.
They came out with a signed contract from Houghton, which agreed to not a termination per se, but kind of just a
compensatory, like money wise, so he wouldn't play stuff like that.
And Houghton said that in October. He said, I just been finding everything out right now through the news. Meanwhile, he signed that contract.
I think what he meant was that the news, and I'm sorry to cut you off here, and I know that Porto are always going to release something about that. We won't know if it's true or not. But what I know is that the news said that he didn't know that his contract was terminated. I think that was the issue, because for some reason the news were saying that his contract got terminated, and that's what he said he didn't know about, was that his contract had been terminated.
Yeah, the wording is very weird about it. I think it's bad communication on both sides. Both sides are at fault. Helton should have known that it's his time to retire. The club should have made it much more clear. In the end, they're both at fault. There's no winner in the situation. I hope that I know that there's still a good relationship between the two. Helton was at the Dragao on Sunday for the Classico. I saw pictures of him there. So there obviously is some sort of good faith remaining between the two. But it seems like it was a little bit of a weird breakup, which is sad because he has so many trophies. But it started with Helton. I think he should have known that it was his time to retire, and then the club should have communicated to him better. So there's fault on both sides. In the end, us fans, we don't have enough details from the inside to form a proper opinion, I think. So I'm just gonna step aside on it and just hopefully it dies down with some sort of respect between the two, and we just kind of go forward and don't see that happen again with any other players.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Just Nelson said this, just for fun, he said that Benfica are willing to sell Taarabt. He can score at any time, anywhere. So FC Porto, estás a ler? That's what he said. Also, he said, to captain a team, you need to feel the jersey. For SLB, Samaris and Sabio feel the shirt. Get captain. Porto like that guy. Also, like a few years ago at Benfica, players in and out were so often that it was difficult to captain anyone else besides Luizão. So there you go. That's his 2 cents on that one. But I think we touched upon it quite enough, and I'm sure you'd agree on that. Right, Simon?
I'm sorry, I missed some of that because it cut out, but...
basically saying that for you to be a captain, you need to feel the jersey. And when Benfica had to sell players, there was always Luizão around. So they never had that issue.
Absolutely. And that's why Helton had the armband for several years as well. It's just the nature of our league. We're always going to be selling because that's the only way we can stay afloat and fight with not even fight, but just be in the same conversation on the same pitch in Champions League with some of these giants across Europe.
All right, let's start with the Twitter questions. And these ones are by Sergio, and they're both directed at you, Simon, and Kevin. So his question, and Kevin, I'll let you go first, then Simon. So he said, Philippe is turning into a fine central defender. Your thoughts on his progress so far?
I've touched on this earlier on in the season, and before I get to this, just to point on the Herrera thing, I didn't say that he should stay. I said he should be sold in January. The point I was making is, don't, they shouldn't want to crucify the guy. Don't treat players like that, because nobody's going to want to play for us if they have a bad game. That being said, going back to Philippe, and I've said this when we first signed him, I thought he was going to be good for us. And when I saw him against Roma, I said he's going to be dangerous for us on set pieces, and he was. He did get an own goal, unfortunately, there. But in the beginning of the season, I knew that he was going to be useful for us on set pieces. He scored a goal against Sporting. He scored against Roma. He's very good. He's very solid defensively, I think. So, I think that was money well spent. I think that he was worth every penny of the $8 million, I believe it was. So, I'm happy with his progress, and I think he'll only be on the up from here.
What about you, Simon?
Yeah, it looks like it was a good purchase, and he's had a great match against Benfica. It breaks my heart that the only mistake really we made was that final ball, and there was the one ball that we didn't cut out. Unfortunately, Philippe, I think, had his hand in that. Not literally his hand in that, but he was a part of the play. But yeah, he's scored some big goals, and he's really he seems to hustle a lot. Looking to be, keep developing like this, and if he stays in the club at least 2 or 3 years, considering how much turnover we have, he'll probably be taking the armband in not too long. So definitely happy about that, about the purchase they've made.
Another question to both of you. Same, Kevin first, and then Simon after. Do you feel like Porto SAD will offload a big name in January due to financial fair play? He said Neves, Herrera. quit question marks. Basically, my question goes: who do you guys think that the players? Who do you guys think is gonna get sold right away in January?
Herrera, Brahimi, and Neves. I don't think Andres Silva is going to go anywhere unless somebody matches his clause anywhere near his release clause. I think that's it.
Simon?
Yeah, the person asking the question hit the nail on the head. It'll be Neves or Herrera, I believe. Liverpool's had a long-standing interest with Neves, and Herrera's recent I don't even know what to call it, what it was on Sunday. I think it'll be, but then again, the club to sell a captain in January, I've never ever seen that before. So I could see bids accepted for Sergio. I could see bids accepted for Neves. I could see bids accepted even for Teixeira, but I don't think he would get much because he's just has not even played yet. Actually, I could see him going on loan, as a matter of fact. But for the club to let go of two central midfielders in Neves and Herrera, I don't think it'll be both. And I've never seen the club get rid of a captain in January. So, but I don't know. This is a really unique situation happening now. But if I have a bad feeling that Neves is going to go a lot sooner than us Sportistas want to see him go. It's just a sad reality. But Danilo is just way too good to put him on the bench.
Yeah. So we also asked another question, but this one we already touched upon, was what he thought about the same thing. Why do Benfica struggle at the Dragão? We already touched upon that. He asked another question. This one's for everybody, so I'll go first, then go Brian, and then Kevin, then Simon. Does this result now put more pressure on Porto or on Benfica for the Clássico de Luz? Porto, easy, because they need to get the 3 points.
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah, of course it puts more. If obviously it stays 5 points different, then of course Porto definitely need that win. So it'll be a lot more pressure on Porto than Benfica. But at the same time, knowing what happened last season, that might be, even though it didn't happen to us, it was the opposite. We might be worried that we might choke as well. So that could be an interesting thing going on. So yeah, it's definitely more pressure on Porto, obviously, but it's a long season ahead. So I guarantee it won't be a 5 point difference by the time we get to Luz. It's either going to be more or less, but I doubt it will stay the same.
Kevin?
Yeah, obviously the pressure as of right now is on Porto.
Simon?
Yeah, the league is about consistency. It was really this early on, even 5 points. There's pressure on everybody still. Benfica still have to play Sporting as well, I think, for the Christmas even. So there's pressure all around. There's pressure for everybody. They're professional players. If they can't mentally handle it, then they're probably not going to go very far anyways. So the pressure is shared all around. We're if we slip up next again, though, then things can start to spiral out of control very quickly. But it's still only 10 rounds played out of 34, and every professional at this level should be able to mentally handle it. And we're not even near Christmas yet, so there's pressure for everybody, but the league is still very much open.
Simon, can you help me out here? If let's say that the game at the Luz stays 0-0, does Benfica get the nod in head-to-head because they scored away?
Yes, because they have the away goal. You're correct.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Thanks for that. Another one by Sergio, and this one's for me and you, Brian. He asked, Luizão, end of an era. Is Jardel's spot now taken by Lisandro? I'll go first. Luizão, end of an era. I don't think so much because he played well up until the Dragão, so he might have a last stint, I guess, with the team. And no, Jardel's spot has not been taken by Lisandro because Lisandro is nowhere near as good as Jardel, and he's not as consistent as Jardel, right?
Yeah, I mean, end of an era because he got injured. No, I mean, every time he gets injured lately, it seems like people say that's the end for Luizão when he just keeps coming back. Is he close to being finished? He is very close. I hope he retires with a title and grace. But he's still an important player for us. And secondly, no, I'm not a fan of Lisandro, even though he scored against Porto. I've never liked him. And Jardel is just much, much better. I'm hoping Jardel can be our new Luizão. Like, plays for us for years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not going to happen in my opinion.
All right, last question from Sergio, and this one goes out for everybody, so I'll go first, I guess. No, actually, you know what? I want to direct this at Brian and Simon, so we get both views. So he says, does this weekend's result boost SLV, or have they shown enough cracks for Porto or Sporting to challenge? Simon, what do you think?
Well, challenge, yes, of course, but we only play each other twice a year. It's only 6 points that we play, and we play 34 matches over the years. So you can get a possible. Really, if you win every single game, you can get do quick math in my head, just about 100 points, 101 or so. And between our 2 games, it's only 6 points available. So we have to obviously now rely on smaller teams to park the bus well enough that they can strip points from each other. So it's not like Spain or England or Italy, where literally every weekend middle of the pack teams and lower teams are taking points off top teams. In Portugal, it doesn't happen like that. It's still a difficult league in its own, because it's a different dynamic, that there's a lot less margin of error. Mistakes are punished much more heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Brian, what do you think? Does this boost us, or does it show Porto that they can still challenge for the title?
I mean, getting a draw like that gives us a boost, because it's a last-minute draw. But at the same time, of course, Porto can still challenge. I've been saying it all along. Even when we were 7 points ahead of Sporting, I still think Sporting can win this league title, and I definitely think Porto can still win it. It's a long season. But it's kind of like Simon said. Well, he didn't bring this up, but you can't slip up to these smaller teams. So
this question is probably better asked after we play each other next time. This question is probably better for the second half of the year. Asking that kind of question after 10 rounds, it's too hard to predict. There's so many variables to happen: injuries, suspensions, form dipping, form getting hot. Yeah. It's too hard to answer this type of question after only 10 rounds. Maybe after 20 rounds or 25 rounds, that's a better question.
Then we have a question from Iker Studios or 1KER Studios. And this one's for you, Simon. But I guess we're still touching upon this again. What are your thoughts on Herrera's shot, which led to that corner? And judging by this match, who should we sell? I guess I'll answer the second part of the question. Herrera, right?
Yeah, I guess he's public enemy number 1 right now. And God help him if he makes a critical error before the winter market opens, because they will goddamn witch hunt him right out of town. So it'll be interesting to see what new. I know our first match back after international break is a TASA match, so Nuno might excuse him from the starting 11 just to rotate some players in, and then after that's a Champions League match, and then after that is fine. So our next league match is 3 weeks away.
Yeah,
it might give the fans time to calm down, settle down, and start thinking again. And not if we had to play again, if we had Champions League coming up, like today's Tuesday, or if we had a game like on Wednesday or something for Champions League, I don't know. I don't know if the fans would still be blazing down his neck. I think it's really, really good timing for Herrera that we're going into a long break until our next league game. But if he makes another critical error before Christmas, then God help him, they're going to witch hunt him right out of the goddamn city.
I'm going to skip this question by Joseph because I don't know, mate. The other one is from Neil. And guys, will there be a fine issued to Otavio that spit on Ederson? Spitting is not cool, even if a Benfica player did it. Simon, I'll let you take this one.
What happened? I'm being dead serious. What happened? I did not see. I'm not pretending to be dumb or anything right now, and I'll try and pull up the video. If you can tweet it to me quickly, I'll watch it. What happened? I'm not joking. I did not see anything.
I'll send it to you. Basically,
I saw it. Can I touch on it since I saw it?
Yeah, I was just gonna tell him what it was, but you can go ahead, I guess.
I don't care what Otavio says. Simon, when you see it, I think you'll agree with me. It was done on purpose. He did spit on Ederson, and he did have a smirk as he did it. In my personal opinion, I think it's disgusting.
What time in the match was this?
It was right after Benfica scored. Ederson went in, grabs the ball, and then he spats at him. I have the video. I sent you the video. It's on DMs. Sorry.
I'll take a look.
You guys off.
So yeah, I think it's disgusting. I wouldn't be surprised if he picked up one match ban or even a 2-match ban. I think 2 is excessive, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did get suspended for one match. I've seen in the Premier League a player swear at somebody like the referee and get a couple of match bans. So I think that.
Spitting is at least a straight red card. Spitting at a player,
so that's
you should
2
at least
games.
get the minimum of 2.
But in all fairness, it's hard to see though. Like I didn't even notice it.
Okay,
right, but the FA can review it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Did that land on him?
Yeah, I think
Otavio
it did.
says no. Otavio tweeted no, but
What did Ederson say?
Ederson complained.
The ref. Yeah, he complained
at the referee. He complained at the assistant ref.
Well, yeah, like spitting has no part of football, but we all know our disciplinary council is basically the biggest joke in Europe. They're not going to do. I'm still waiting for them to open a case of violent conduct against William Carvalho 2 weeks ago. He should have been sent off. He swung his leg right through the back of someone else.
Okay. Let me put this the other way. Then should they do something, even though they're probably not going to? Should they do something about
spitting?
This?
As I said, spitting at players has no part in football. It's not a question of Porto or Benfica or Sporting or a rivalry. Mm-hmm. It's a question of just football as a whole. That spitting does not have a place.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah,
We'll leave it at that. Okay. Last question before I just point out. Okay, let me just point out quickly that. And ask you this real quick, I suppose, because Kevin, you added me, saying that 00 sent out an article saying that Porto rejected 12 million for Brahimi. Simon, now what do you think about that? If it's true, would you have taken that, or did Porto do well in not letting him go for 12 million?
I haven't heard that. 12 million is low for Brahimi, and 00 is a terrible source for. For all things. 00 is good for one thing. It's just statistical archiving. That's it. They're not good for anything else. So disregard
football as well.
Yeah. Disregard anything from 00. Disregard anything from CM. Disregard anything from Sapo. They're basically just aggregating bullshit that they can find. The only thing good about 00 is historical data. So just ignore that.
But do you think it's a good? Let's say that somebody put in a bid of 12 million. That's nowhere near enough, right? That was my first thought.
No.
They did good. They did good if they did reject something like that, because that is not enough money.
Well, even though he's not a starting right now, they could probably still get him up to form a little bit better.
12,
if he has a good African Cup coming up this February, then 12 is much too low. It could probably be 20 in the summer.
Yeah, 20 should be good enough. Last question comes from Neil, and he says, who would you guys say is this year's MVP? And again, it's so soon. But I mean, I can't even think of anyone that he's really exceeded expectations. Is there anybody?
Nobody stood out. It's too early. Nobody stood out so far. Yeah, I mean, on Porto, Danilo puts in a great shift week in, week out. So for us, it would be Danilo. But to give anybody a clear head over other players in the league, it's too early for that to answer that.
Yeah, I'll try and maybe if I had to put a list, let's see: Feza, Danilo, André Silva. Possibly Andre Horta if he starts playing against Servi.
Adrian
Silva, Rui Patricio. I mean, there's about a couple.
No, after 10 games, you can't pick a player out of that. So
I know that's what I'm not picking. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is like sort of, I guess, the players that could end up being the MVPs, but it's way too early, Neil. Way too early. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So. Kevin, if you want to go to your usual roundup.
Yeah. Before I get to the run up, I just have a question for Simon.
Sure.
My buddy Sergio, the Benfiquista, he wants to know if you can go out for a beer with him. I think that would be pretty cool if you guys went out for a beer or something.